Hello, everybody. My name is Professor Green. That was the Black Eyed Peas, and I guess as I mentioned here, "Let's Get It Started" was the song by the Black Eyed Peas, and I guess you could call that an oldie now. But just trying to generate some excitement, introduce myself, and get you ready for SoE 302. So, welcome, first of all, and a little background on myself. This is a longer video than usual because I'm containing a lot of information in this one, and hopefully kind of covering all the bases moving into our summer term on a positive note here. So, an introduction of myself. I'm an assistant professor for the School of Education, so I know many of you personally already from courses in the past, and we'll probably work together in the future as well. I'm also a member of the Center for Teaching and Learning, where we do innovative projects and generate ideas for the good of Kendall, help students, help faculty. We do a little bit of everything in the Center for Teaching and Learning, or CTL. Then I'm also the FTPA coordinator, and I'm going to get into what that means and why that's important to you if you are seeking licensure upon graduation, or if you're on the track to, simpler terms, if you're on the track to be a student teacher and what that means. Some personal info. My pride and joy is my 3-year-old son named Stewie. Stuart. His name is Stuart Nicholas Green, named after his two grandpas, Stuart and Nicholas. So he's my buddy. I'm sure you'll meet him at some point because I hold a lot of live meetings during the term to talk to students, see what you're up to, touch base, answer any questions that you might have, and so you'll meet him along the way. And actually, I try to use him a lot in our discussions when possible to make it to generate these real life scenarios, because he's in a daycare, and a lot of things happen where I just kind of take notes and try and not only honestly solicit your advice and hear what you have to say, but give you real world scenarios that are actually happening to think about and provide insight on. And I have a wife named Kiri who I adore, and my passion is fly fishing. I love to fish, and unfortunately, I don't get to do it as much lately, but with the 3-year-old. So for pretty much the last 3 years, I haven't done it a whole lot. All right, so the FTPA, and we're proud of this. The School of Ed is proud of this. So as of 7/6/16, or today, 22 for 22 passed the FTPA. One student had to retake it, but passed the second time. So we have a 100% pass rate so far, I guess, depending on how you look at it. But that's important, because without a passing score, if if you're seeking licensure, meaning you want to teach in the classroom, you cannot without a passing score. And it's embedded in your student teaching experience. Your student teaching experience is all about the EdTPA assessment as part of it. I mean, obviously it's teaching children, but it's a huge part of it that you need to be aware of. And it's the new standard for pre-service teachers around the country. It's not just something Kendall dreamt up. It's in pretty much every state in the United States. There are very few that are not active, and you can Google that to find out exactly where. So if there's something that's important, because if you want to teach in Illinois, this is a definite standard you have to meet. And if you want to teach in another state, you could look them up and see if the EdTPA is a requirement. It's basically, think of it as the bar exam for teachers, for new teachers. All right, now let's get into our course. I have 3 rules, and they are the 15-minute rule. And what that means is I do not want you to struggle in isolation. I want you to call me or email me immediately if you work on something for 15 minutes and can't figure out the answer. My goal is not to frustrate you. I want this to be a smooth course where you can concentrate on the important aspects of planning lessons and assessing children. So, and also the rule number 2, we have the discussion board, as you know, is a major part of our course. And it's okay to disagree. That's fine. Actually, that's a good thing to disagree, but you just have to be respectful, mindful of other people's opinions. And we will be good to go. And you guys I know you're all awesome at that, so it shouldn't be a problem. And then finally, rule number 3, if you give me your best effort, especially in this course, your hard work is going to pay off. It has happened consistently over the years that I've taught this course, where students may not be the strongest planners coming in, but when they leave, they are thankful and feel ready to be able to plan any type of lesson on any format. Now, what do teachers do? Well, teachers do a lot of things, right? We're crackerjack psychologists, we're surrogate parents, we do a lot of things, but what we do, our main job role is to plan curriculum or lesson planning. That's the number one activity that all teachers do every day, all day. Have a plan, because without one, things can go south quick. So plan for every minute of your day. That is the number one activity you'll do as a teacher. And we plan 3 lessons in our course, and you deliver them, so you're going to get a taste of what that's like. And you will deliver instruction to students as a teacher. And the phrase, the best laid plans, if you've heard of that, sometimes, I've created these plans that I thought were foolproof, awesome lesson plans, and they flopped. And then other times I would write a lesson plan down on a napkin, and it worked fantastic. So you never know, but the point is that you have to plan, and as you gain experience, you'll start to figure out what does work really well for your personality, for your students, first of all, and then your personality as a teacher. And then finally, assess student performance. Think of this question: how will you determine what students know and are able to do, and what you want them to become as a result of the lesson you taught? Whenever you think of those 3 things, that will drive your assessment. And that last phrase there in bold, assessment drives instruction. What that means is every decision you make is based on student performance. Meaning, next time, I'm deciding on a lesson next time based on how my students perform today. All right. Now, plan curriculum, lesson planning. You can see their little graphic. It's all about the learner. It's very specific to the students you teach, but here are a couple just kind of brief tips here. So what your job is to create these lesson plans that are meaningful opportunities to students to give them an opportunity to grow intellectually, socially, and emotionally. I'm not sure how I phrased that right there. But and there are long and short-term lesson plans. We focus on the short-term pretty much in 302, but having these 3 lesson plans that you write linked is a great idea, meaning they build off one another, is a great idea. I know that's not always possible due to placement and availability and that sort of thing, but that is ideal. And there's a change this term to SoE 302 based on conversations with colleagues and just years of teaching this course. And it just was something, I don't know, this was something that I knew, but it just, I don't know, it didn't click for me until my colleague mentioned it to me. But we have to focus on writing objectives. And the lesson plan starts with writing objectives. And there are ways you can backwards plan. You think of what you want them to do or assess first and then work backwards. But writing objectives is key. Writing clear and measurable objectives are crucial to lesson planning. So we are going to work on that and spend a little bit more time on that. Now, I'm going to show you a rubric that I use in SoE 302 to evaluate your 3 plans. And as you can see, this little notice to myself, it's another little tip on your lesson plans. Write notes to yourself. It's your document, so use it to help you remember. But here's the rubric. And largely you'll see I'm looking for objectives. And what I do is for each lesson plan, I'll go to track changes and I'll mark up, and then I'll write notes in here, and you'll see them in red. And then I'll rate you as from 5, 4, 3, all the way to 1. And the goal is to obtain 3s. All 3s are competent on your lesson plans by the end of our class. And you'll notice that, and then I'll highlight it for you. And so if you don't see the notes, that simply means, and I'm just doing this because a lot of teachers use track changes, and I want to make sure you know it. But let's say, okay, you go back to the original, no notes. So you go to original and then all markup, and boom, there it is. You can see the highlights that your teacher makes. That's important for all your classes, really. Okay, and now let's go back. And the lesson plan is updated. We're using an updated lesson plan. So based on that, it's not all the FTPA, but the lesson plan we use for this course now is a little bit more realistic in terms of what you need right now and what you need to focus on right now as far as delivering solid lessons to students. So you can have a chance to read through this at a later time, and you can delete all the blue writing in there. Those are just suggestions and things to think about when you build your lesson plans. But this is the template we're going to use for our 3 lesson plans for this course. All right, now, a good plan does not guarantee a great lesson, but the absence of a plan will surely lead to trouble. If you have a disruptive classroom, or the potentially disruptive classroom, if you're not planned for the day, the entire day, that leaves room for students to misbehave, which can be stressful. And I suggest these suggestions write the instructional delivery section as numbered steps, like a recipe, so it's easy to follow. Don't write it as a narrative because it's hard to find different things. Add estimated times to your plan. Use a timer to help keep pace with your instruction, because pacing is an issue for a lot of newer teachers, that they run out of time or they finish too fast. But using a timer, a simple kitchen timer, will help you avoid that. And then write the questions out you want to ask, much like I did here. I'm like, this was a note to myself, not really to you. Click and explain ratings, but write the questions out you want to ask, because you'd be surprised at how many teachers forget during when you're in front of students the questions that you want to ask. So that'll help you. And then finally ask yourself this question if you're thorough enough. If I were a substitute teacher, if you were a substitute teacher asked to teach this lesson, coming in with all you had was the lesson plan, would you be able to make it a successful day with the children? If your answer is yes, great. If it's no, go back to the drawing board and add until it is thorough. And finally, our goal in 302, I want to see growth over time from point A to Z. I don't expect you to come in as an excellent, outstanding planner. If you are, that's fantastic, but not everybody is. The goal is to move up and increase your ability to plan effectively. And then finally here, assessment is constant and continuous. It could be as simple as thumbs up, thumbs sideways, thumbs down. Thumbs up, I totally get it. Thumbs sideways, I sort of get it. Or thumbs down, I have no idea what you're talking about. The strongest teachers or student teachers I've worked with use strategies like that constantly throughout their lessons to measure where their students are in terms of understanding. And I make sure it's your assessment plan is linked to your objective. Did you measure what you said you were? And then I offer some suggestions here. My personal opinion, based on experience, is to have 3 forms of assessment in your plan. And number 1, I'm going to start with, because I'm going long here, is collect student work. That is a form of assessment where it'll let you know what students can do and what you need to revisit, or if you're ready to move on. It'll inform your next move as an instructor. And finally, think of assessment in these terms. If you were asked 1 month from the time you taught your lesson how a particular student performed that day, would you be able to respond accurately to that question? So say your principal asks you, how did Timmy do on June 6th? And it's a month later. These forms of assessment that I have here, anecdotal records, checklists, and things, are documentation that you can keep moving forward. So also, here we go, the round it out. You will be hearing about e-portfolios in this course, because SoE 302 is an e-portfolio course, which I am the e-portfolio project manager. So you're going to hear a lot about that real soon coming in this course. It's exciting. I don't want you to look at it as something extra that you have to do, but a lot of research supports e-portfolio's are a great way to set you apart from the pack in a very crowded job market. So you're paying a lot of money and spending a lot of effort making doing these courses, so we want you to get the most out of it. So I'll introduce e-portfolios to you. And then each week, I haven't quite decided yet how I'm going to do it, but we're going to do a thing optional that is called the Critical Incident Questionnaire. And there are just 2 questions this time. What worked really well this week, and what was engaging, and what didn't work so well. And I use that because it does a lot of things, but what it does is it gives you a voice and allows you to express frustrations or concerns anonymously, so there's no fear of retribution, which I wouldn't do anyway, but so you can feel confident in how you respond, and it helps inform what we're doing well, what is not understood, and so it just makes us better at communicating. It's just a communication tool. So I'll send you more about that, and that's going to be optional each week, but I highly suggest it. And then finally, have fun and remember they're kids. It's easy to lose sight of that when you have so much to accomplish with standards, assessment, instruction, lesson planning. But keep it simple, and remember they're kids. And finally, there's my contact information. It's going to be plastered all over our course, but I suggest you use it and take advantage of me. I am your professor, but you should consider me a colleague, and I want the best for you this course and moving forward. So good luck, everybody. Thanks.